So welcome everybody to our March monthly Lehigh Valley ACS section meeting. And tonight we have a special program about sign language, particularly with regard to using sign language in STEM, the STEM fields. So in order to get started, I'm going to ask Jeanne Berk, one of our counselors, to introduce our presenters tonight and tell us a little bit more about the program. Jeanne?
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. So this kind of came about when COVID started, and at Cedar Crest, we've been fortunate enough to have limited social distance face-to-face classes. And walking around school with face masks on, I was like, I know I'm a faculty member, let's just smile at students, and you can't see smiles with masks on. So I was making a comment. I said, I wonder what the sign language word for smile is. And Leah was walking down the hallway, and I didn't even know we had a sign language club at Cedar Crest, but it started a long conversation. And we got to talking about that sign language in the sciences is actually very hard because there's so few words in the American Sign Language Dictionary. And so we just kind of wanted to raise awareness about this and show some of the cool things being done for sign language in the sciences and STEM. So with that, I'm going to let Leah introduce all the club members because I'm not sure who all is here. Asher's the president, but Leah's been the one kind of taking point on this.
Thank you, Dr. Berk. So yes, hi, my name is Lee. I am the vice president of the Cedar Crest Sign Language Club. And I'd like to take a minute to introduce the other club members and e-board members that will be helping me present today. So our president is Asher. Our treasurer is Julie. And we have two other club members who are helping us present, Danielle and Kayla. So thank you guys for coming. And I'd also like to thank Dr. Berk and Nigel for helping us set this up. Couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you very much. So we're here today to talk about sign language and specifically sign language in science. So a lot of the deaf and hard of hearing community struggles to get into science and involved with science because so few people know sign language, which is why we're here today. We're going to teach you guys some basic communication skills in sign language. So we're going to go over the alphabet and the numbers and a few basic communication phrases that you'll often see in science. Now, I wanted to emphasize that there are, like Dr. Berk had mentioned, that there are not a lot of widely accepted signs for terms in science. And that can be very difficult for someone who wants to, pursue a career in science because, it takes forever to spell out things like photosynthesis or chemiluminescence or all of the long, really involved IUPAC names for chemicals. You'd be there for quite some time. So a lot of facilities have actually adapted by creating their own signs for these widely used science terms. So I think it's very important for people to know the basics, at least in spelling and numbers, because even if the sign for, say, a butol is one thing for one laboratory, it might be different for another. So knowing the basics in the alphabet and numbers, you can at least communicate. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to my president. She's going to start by demonstrating the first couple letters of the alphabet. We're also going to be showing you guys a couple of words associated with each letter so that we can learn a couple more science terms. Okay, so with that, Asher, if you could take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out and seeing this. I've always liked to associate the alphabet with words to go along. So Lee made up a really great list of some science terms to help us out. So we'll start at the very beginning. So this is A. It's just a fist with your thumb at the side. And then A is for atom. So you take your fist and then you cup it with the other fist. So this is A for atom. So A for atom. B is just your hand with your thumb over your palm. So B is for biology. So you make two B's with your hands and then you kind of go and make circles, kind of wax on, wax off, as we kind of talked about before. So B for biology. Then we have C for chemistry. So you'll kind of see with all of the majors that they're all kind of in the same general kind of format. So C is for chemistry. And then you have D. So D is with your pointer finger upwards, kind of making a letter D. So D, we said, is for dependent. So you make kind of two Ds and then you just tiny compressions, I think. So D for dependent. And then you have E, which is kind of an open fist. You have your palm out. So E is for electron. So I like to think of it as, remember, atom was just your fist with that covering. This is like a shell, like a nucleus, and an E for an electron, and you shake it because it's energized, I think. I'm not a science major. We're going to go with it. So E for electron. We have F, which is like the I'm okay sign. So F for formula. So F
Anybody remembers sign language?
for formula. We also have F for function. So function. So F for function. We have G. So G is like you're pinching something. So G is for geometry. So G, geometry. H, again, is like you're pinching something, but now with two fingers. So H is for hypothesis. So you're kind of whipping it away. So hypothesis. And then I is just your pinky finger up. All right, so I is you make two I's and then you kind of break them apart because they're independent from each other. So I is independent. All right, and then we're going to move on and we are going to have Danielle talk about a few of the other signs of the alphabet.
Okay, so for J, you're basically just going to make an I and you're kind of going to swoop it and kind of make the shape of a J. So for J, we have juice. So you're going to put your J right here and you're kind of going to swoop it across your face like juice. And then that's J. So for K, we have your two fingers and then your thumb right there in the middle. And for K, we have kilograms. So you're going to use basically just a K and a G. So K, G, kilogram. Okay, and that's a K. And then for L, it's really easy. You just use your L. And then for L, we have logic. So you're going to take your L up here and you're kind of just going to logic. I kind of think of it as like, anyways, so for millimeter, I do pinky down and then my thumb here, and then you kind of cover it with the rest of your fingers like this. And for M, we have milliliter. So ml, it's just milliliter. And then for N, we have our two fingers down and then kind of like in the middle. So you're kind of going from M to N like that. And for N, we have numerator. So you're going to put your other hand out like this, and you're going to take your N, but you're going to put your fingers out, and you're kind of going to go numerator. So yeah, just like that. So that's your N. And then we have O for oxygen. So you're basically just going to go like that. just kind of shake it back and forth for oxygen. And then for P, you're going to take your hand like that, and you're going to put your thumb in the middle, if you can see that. And then we have proton, so you're going to kind of do that and just do that, proton. And then Q, it's really easy. You just kind of go like that. I think it kind of looks like a Q. And for that, we have quality. So you're going to take it like this and kind of bring it in like quality. Yeah, so that's your Q. I think Kayla is going to take over.
Yes, I am. R is for ratio. So basically you just cross your fingers. Ratio. S is for science. So it's just like A, but you just put your thumb in more. Science, like you're pouring chemicals. T is just your thumb inside of your first finger. The T is for theorem. And then U is like an H, but upward. And U is for universal. So you take two U's, you put them together and then loop them. Universal. And then V is for value. So it's like a peace sign, and then you just do two peace signs and you just make a circle. That's value. And then W is for water. So you just take your W and tap it to your face or your chin. And then X is for X-axis. For an X, you just do like a little hook. X-axis. And then Y is for Y-intercept, and for Y, you just kind of do like cowabunga type thing. Y-intercept, so you kind of just take your finger and make like an X type thing at the top. And then Z is for Z-axis, and you just draw Z to make a Z. Z-axis is you go straight out and then draw Z.
Wonderful, guys. Thank you so much. So I know that went kind of quick, so I'm just going to do a nice recap. Again, feel free to sign along with me because, practice makes perfect.
Can I ask a question first?
Absolutely.
So I noticed that one of you was using your left hand as the dominant hand with the letters, and the other people were, I think, using their right hand. Does that matter, or is it?
So that's a wonderful question. I actually get that question quite a bit. As far as I know, it does not matter.
Okay.
Again, I'm not an expert, but as far as I know, it does not matter as to which hand you use.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Wonderful question. Okay. So yeah, let's start with A. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X. I like to think of this as a kind of a pirate hook. X marks the spot. So that's X. Y. And then Z. Okay. So now we're going to go on to numbers. We have Julie that's going to go over numbers. So Julie, take it away.
Hello. So numbers. So you start with 0, then 1, 2. 3 is a little bit different. Normally you think of 3 as, you know, pointer, middle, and ring, but 3 in sign language is your thumb instead. And then back to normal is 4, 5. So then for the next few, it's 6, and you work your way backwards. So it'd be 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then 11 is 11, 12. I'm sorry, I messed that up. I skipped my numbers. It's 11. I'm so sorry about that. 12. This is, again, where the thumb comes into play. It's 13, and then 14. And then you want to have your thumb back out again for 15. So then 16, 17, 18, 19 are like 6, 7, 8, 9, but you shake it. It's 18, 19. And then 20 is 2, 0. And then 21 almost looks like a little handgun. So it's 22 is you're doing 2, 2. And then from there on out, it's very much just the one number and then the second number. So for example, 23 would be 2, 3. Then 24 is 2, 4. So if you know basically through 22, you can do any number you want.
Julie, what do we do when we get to like 100? What does that look like?
I always forget 100.
Can it
So
be
one-
like the one with 0, 0?
So 100,
I
I
forget.
don't know if my video is showing.
You are showing.
Yeah, I am. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So 100 looks like this. It's 1, C. 1, C. Yep. That's
I
100.
always forget the special trick to that one.
Yeah, that one's tricky. Yeah. So wonderful, Julie. Thank you. So I'm
Dr.
gonna
Berk, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, how would you do decimal places? So, you know, because we're always talking, you know, measurements and sig figs. So what about decimal places?
That is a good question.
Decimal
That's a
place?
wonderful question.
The decimal place is like this.
Okay. So if I wanted to say 1.2, okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Good. Awesome. Good question. So yes, those were our numbers. So I'm going to go through a couple of basic like phrases that I think are pretty important when communicating in sign language. And the first one, you know, the first thing that you usually say when you meet someone is, "Hi, my name is." So to say that in sign language, you say, "Hi, So it's just an extension of your palm out from your temple. So it's hi, my. So you're kind of like gesturing to yourself. And then name is like this. So in sign language, we don't sign small words such as like is or the. So essentially you're saying hi, my name, and then you would spell your name. So hi, my name is Lee. So a couple of other basic phrases that are important to know are things like please and thank you. So this is please. So you have an open palm and you're kind of doing a circle around the chest. So this is please. Thank you is, again, a flat palm, and you're extending from your chin or mouth. Thank you. Thank you. Another one that I think comes up quite a bit in the laboratory is help. Whether you need help or if you're asking someone if you can help them. So the sign for help is you have a flat palm and you kind of have a thumbs up and you kind of go up with it. So this is help. So if I were to ask, can you help me? I would say, help me, please. And if you're asking someone if they need help, so can I help you? You would just extend the help to the person that you're asking. So this is kind of, can I help you? Okay. Another word that I think comes up quite a bit, especially in chemistry, is spill. So spill, this one's kind of fun, is kind of two fists to start with, and then you're kind of gonna sprinkle out. So this is spill. So if I wanted to say like, oh, there's a chemical spill, say chemical spill. Other words that could be common in a laboratory or in STEM in general are things like danger or warning. So this is the sign for warning. So warning. Warning. Chemical spill. Another word is danger or dangerous. And that looks like you have a flat palm and you're kind of, another thumbs up, but you're kind of gonna touch the front of your palm. So this is danger. Danger. And then one other one is poison or toxin. And that looks, this one's kind of funny, at least in my opinion, is poison. So it's kind of like a skull and crossbones. So this is poison. Okay, so to recap, you say, hi, my name is, then you spell your name. So in my case, L-E-A. Please. Thank you. Thank you. Help. Either help me, please, or can I help you? Spill. Chemical spill. Warning. Danger.
Can I ask you to lift your
Yes.
hands a little higher for the
Yes.
danger? I'm not seeing your second.
Oh,
Is your
absolutely.
hand in front? Is it the thumb pointing
Yes,
towards the?
It is.
Okay.
Can you see a little bit better?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there
Thank
we go.
you.
So this is danger. Yep. So you kind of like have a thumbs up, and you're kind of just touching the front of your palm. That's danger. Awesome. And then poison, we have the fists and crossed arms, kind of like a skull and crossbones. So that's that. So those are the words and phrases that we had planned. I wanted to take a moment and express the importance of body language and facial expression in sign language. A lot of the signs are very situational. You know, I would say chemicals, but well, chemicals where? So the situation is very much important. And we now, because of COVID, are losing a lot of our facial expressions. So like Dr. Berk had described, that interaction that we had, you couldn't see somebody smiling. So it's very important to emote when we can, because you know we can't see the lower half of our faces. And it's very important, I think, to learn how to spell in sign language, because now with masks, we're taking away a lot of how the deaf and hard of hearing communicates. A lot of the deaf and hard of hearing community reads lips in order to communicate. So you might have seen actually some people making masks with clear windows, which I think is a wonderful idea. So being able to at least spell, I think, is really, really important. So yeah, so that was our presentation. I'd like to open it up to questions if anyone had any questions or comments, concerns.
Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask, I mean, you know, I have, as I mentioned earlier, quite a bit of arthritis in my hands these days. I mean, what happens when someone who needs to communicate by sign language gets ravaged by old age like that?
You know, I don't know that there's anything like specific. I imagine like a lot of people do carry pen and paper, as well as any kind of text to voice like applications on their phone. That's actually becoming very popular. I was actually in a situation where someone was not able to speak, and they didn't know sign language, so they had to use a text-to-speech app. So I think that would probably be my first inclination. Yeah, but wonderful question. Yeah, there are also lots of resources out there for more words and phrases. The one that we use in our club, for our club, is called handspeak.com. And there's another one for math language dictionary, the Texas Math Sign Language Dictionary. Wonderful resources. All that information is on our trifold flyer, which shout out to Kayla. She designed our wonderful flyer and pamphlet, so thank you, Kayla.
Megan, did you have a question with your hand raised?
Yes, you mentioned toxic while signing poison. Is that the same sign or is there a related sign to it?
Good question. So there is not, at least that I could find, a specific sign for the word toxic. This is the sign for poison. I kind of grouped them together, but I don't know that there's a specific sign for toxic.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, Dr. Berk.
So, I mean, and we're doing a really quick highlight here. And I know that there have been several people that have reached out and said they were interested in learning it. So are there like free apps, or how would you recommend for somebody to start learning it? And are there classes that people could sign up for, or,
Oh, yes.
or other ways?
Yes. So the Cedar Crest Sign Language Club started just because we were interested in it. So I absolutely encourage people to get together that are interested and do some research. There are lots of YouTube videos on sign language. There are a couple of websites, and I believe I saw a couple of our club members, including those websites in the chat. So thank you guys for doing that. The ones that we use primarily is handspeak.com And then there's the Texas Math Sign Language Dictionary, which has a whole bunch of signs, which is really, really helpful. Yeah, those are probably the main ones.
I like to learn directly from the community, so it's really important to talk about the culture as well. So I find people on YouTube who are within the culture. TikTok is really big, so I just sit on TikTok all day, and so now I'm learning something. So I really like and I value, their not their interpretation, it's their culture. So I really like taking that from them. Last year, one of our e-board members, their parents were deaf and within that culture, so she was fluent in ASL. So we really encourage people to learn it as well, but also to learn about the culture. So that's something that's really important. Lee talks about facial expressions, and it's a culture in and of itself. So what you sign may be different than somebody who signs just in this next state over or in the next lab, as Lee says. So it's important that just like English has accents, American Sign Language also has accents. So at the very basics, learning how to spell will get you so much farther than not talking to somebody, ignoring them, or using pen and paper.
Excuse me? There's also a deaf woman who teaches at LTRI-C. They have an ASL 1 and ASL 2 at LTRI-C. Her name is Denise Brown. She's the regional representative for the deaf and hard of hearing for Northeastern Pennsylvania. And I know she's running classes by Zoom right now because of coronavirus, but I'm sure they'll get back to normal at some point. But if anyone is interested.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I know a lot of community colleges are doing kind of ASL 101 courses now. So community colleges are a good place to go as well.
And then I want to pitch that if it is part of the LVACS system, check with your school, because you can take classes at other school and get credit at your school. So if anybody is interested, look at LTRI-C and see whether or not your school has a credit transfer policy with them.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions or comments? Anyone else have other resources that they might use or know of? Kayla said that there,
oh, sorry.
Did you read the same thing that I did? Kayla said that there's an app called Marley Signs. It's a free app, and it does basic sign language videos shown by a deaf woman. Wonderful. Marley Signs. Wonderful, wonderful.
So sending out the event meeting details, we asked if anybody had any phrases that they were interested in learning. So does anybody have, like for me, this all started, like I said, when I wanted to learn how to say I'm smiling. So the other thing I wanted to point out, because Lee and I got really talking about this, is that there are groups that are actually trying to create words for science.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody here is part of ACS. That do we know if ACS has any specific policies, or Roger, do you know of anything? You've been in more committees than
policies about, I don't think they have policies, but they, the Chemist Disabilities Committee does do things as far as sign language goes. I have heard of them working on those sorts of things, but I really don't know any more details.
Yeah, when I went exploring, the big thing I found was the one guy, Leo, that we talked about in England, who was trying to create a whole science dictionary. But of course, being in England, it's not going to be part of the American sign language.
Right.
But it was really fascinating to see the number of scientists that were recognizing it and trying to make it easier to be able to be in the labs and still communicate.
Right.
Does ACS have at least some of the general meetings that are signed? Can't say
The
every-
counselors' meetings are not signed, but they are closed caption. And I know that that's again another big thing here with, with online classes, your transcripts and for your lectures, being able to read through them is so important right now.
Right. It's also important to like normalize the use of closed captions just in any context, movie theaters, television. Absolutely.
Okay. Any more questions or comments?
I have a question. Hi. Thank you for actually inviting me. I teach at Northampton Community College, and I got an email from my dean, and I thought this is right where I want to be. I just want to share that I'm originally from Portugal, and when I was a teacher in Portugal, I tried to learn Portuguese Sign Language. So now the letters are different. It varies from country to country, but I'm very interested in learning American Sign Language. I teach math, so you mentioned that it's difficult to find, the terminology for science. So how do students learn math in high school, or not at a community college or a college? How do they learn if there are no specific terms? I know that you mentioned some for function and for the x-axis and y-intercept, but are there more? And do students learn it as they learn math?
Right. So that's a wonderful question. The dictionary that I got those words from is the Texas Math Dictionary. But a lot of times with science and math and engineering, each facility, each school, each high school will have an interpreter for the individual who is deaf or hard of hearing, and they will work together to create signs for these like commonly used words in science. So they'll work together, and that's why when you go to facility, that the signs for these words might not be the same. There are universities that are specifically catered to the deaf and hard of hearing. The first one that I think of is Gallaudet University, I think in Virginia, maybe. And that is a university that is catered towards specifically the deaf and hard of hearing. So I think in the long run, I think we need to kind of nail down some signs for these words, but that is generally how they will learn math and
Lorena,
science.
your hand is raised.
What was that?
Lorena, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you. I was saving it to the end because it's not a chemistry question. I'm going to visit my granddaughter soon. She's 2, and they teach her sign language at daycare. So how do I tell her I love you and you're so smart?
That's wonderful. I think that's fantastic. So there are 2 ways to say I love you. One of the easier ways is kind of I love you. You kind of point at the person. Another way is pointing to yourself, saying like I, and then love, kind of like a hug, right? And then pointing to the person. That is I love you.
I just want to point out that love and poison kind of look the same.
That's what I was thinking.
So it's important.
I poison you.
Be focused into the conversation because context clues mean everything. Like, I don't want to poison you. I love you. So it's important because, again, like looking at numbers, you know, you want to make sure that you're doing it this way. And for like words that can do that, you want to do facial expressions rather than saying like, can I help you versus like, help you. Like it's just all about context clues that I think that's important. And then I just looked up smart on Handspeak. So like so pointing at the person and then smart. So taking your middle finger to your temple and then going outward. So smart.
Okay, you're smart.
Yep. So again, like
you're
a lot of
smart. That goes for all of you.
That goes for you too. It's always start learning.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's again, sometimes you don't even necessarily need to point like you. If you're talking one-on-one with someone, you know, just gesturing like to you rather than like help you, like things like that. So a lot of the times it's all culture, it's all that, you know, environment that you're talking in. That kind of helps with the context. And then somebody in the chat had a question about why isn't sign language a universal language? What makes American Sign Language different than Australian Sign Language? And I think that's a good question. It's something that just, I think as a topic of anything is like, why isn't there something universal? In the sense of like, here in America, we verbally speak English. They also speak English in Australia. But as you might know, that there's just words that mean different things. So again, it's just the culture that you learn your language in and just learning it. So again, that's why spelling is always helpful in the sense of if you're confused about what they're signing, you can ask and things like that. So it's interesting to look, you know, like I know like they call in Australia and New Zealand, like the trunk and the hood, the trunk and the hood, a boot and a bonnet. In like England, they call a flashlight a torch, things like that. So it's like one of those things that those signs mean the same thing, but it's just the culture and that language that it's coming from that just makes it different. It makes it cumbersome. It makes it hard. But it also makes it hard verbally in English to understand what they're saying. I wish it was as easy as just getting a universal language. If only that was that easy, or like getting like brain implants to just automatically translate languages, like that would be cool too. So yeah, so that was a good question. I hope that answered your question.
It's funny that you should mention, Asher, actually, the brain implants. It's not quite as cool as that, but there has been some technology where students have worked on being able to translate sign language. So it's a kind of an imaging program where they'll map the movement of a person's hands and be able to essentially generate text. And kind of vice versa, using that for someone who doesn't know sign language at all, to be able to communicate with somebody who's deaf or hard of hearing. So it's not as cool as a brain implant, but kind of developing technology.
Still pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody so much for participating, asking
Yes,
questions,
thank you so much.
Joining here. We have social media, Facebook and Instagram, just CCC Signs. If you want to learn more. We don't do a lot because we're kind of a new club and then COVID hit and now it's kind of a mess. But we're trying to get out there. We appreciate being able to do something like this, get the culture out there, get the language out there, and just kind of learn from each other, I think is awesome.
We certainly appreciate you guys coming and doing this for us. Really great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Nigel, and Dr. Berk, and everybody for coming. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. So, Roger, I think we're going to move on to a little bit of a business meeting. That's still the plan.
Sounds good. Did you get any agenda items for our business meeting after you sent out the request?
I actually didn't, but I did put together a bit of a list here so we can pick our way through this.
Okay. I can speak to some of these issues and call on some other people to speak on others.
Sure.
First of all, it's hard to even talk about the death of George Ruger, our chair from last year. We do want to do something to celebrate his life and his contributions to the section. And we have a small committee working on that. George, or his mother, actually put in his obituary the Lehigh Valley ACS section as a preferred charity in lieu of flowers. And we have received some gifts, and Lorena is leading up that portion of the of what we're doing. So Lorena, could you talk a little bit about that?
I'm happy to report on how much money we have received. Nevertheless, the people in charge of developing the program are Jeanne and Kelly. So just a quick update. Currently, we have $325 that have come in. I do believe the plan is to match those funds with LVACS funds. Nevertheless, I would also encourage LVACS members, should they wish to contribute, to go ahead and send in some checks. That would be welcome. People up to now have been contributing anything between $25 and $100. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see that on the next item, on upcoming events, you're listed as the contact for the WCC sponsored panel. Would you like to say anything about that?
Yeah, I think I kind of pop up all over the place. So I'm thinking perhaps Jeanne and Kelly have something more to say about George's memorial recognition.
We can do that, yes.
Currently, what I'm working on, as you know, I went to the executive committee meeting for small businesses because George was actually their acting chair. And so they have a poster submitted for the national meeting in April. And so I'm working with a couple other people to make a poster. So one thing I wanted to ask was, Nigel, can I use what you created for the newsletter? Because it was wonderful. I'm thinking maybe we could do 3 panels, one for Lehigh Valley, one for New York, one for green chemistry, small business, so maybe 4 panels where each one could kind of highlight his involvement in each of those. So if you're attending the meeting, I don't know the details of when that poster session is, but that poster session will be up with small businesses. As far as Kelly and me, we have not discussed what to do, partially because we needed to kind of get an idea of financially what we had available. He will be also honored at the counselors meeting, so there will be a moment of silence there for that. And then Kelly, do you have anything else you want to add?
Just that, I mean, I don't know who has, you know, contact with Annette, his mother. I've tried to keep contact with her like once a week, every other week. And I mean, I think everybody knows that she must be heartbroken, and she really is. You know, she shared, I think, I don't know if it was in the email just with me or no, I think Jeanne was on that one as well. She had actually lost her husband in April of COVID. So within a year's time period, she's had to bury a husband and a son. And yeah, she mentioned to me in an email that she never thought anything could be harder than bearing her husband, but missing George is unbearable. So I've kind of tried to, you know, reach out every now and again and just say, hey, I'm thinking of you. We're thinking of you. You know, so I think, you know, anything, you know, you can do to honor him is really what seems to kind of keep her going. You know, knowing that he had such good friends, she says all the time, is a comfort to her. So anything that we can do would be great. And I think Jeanne and I both agree that when we start to decide what we want to do, we'd like to get his mother involved in some way. You know, either have her come out or we come to her, because, you know, I don't know how she's going to want to travel, or just have her involved in some way so that she knows that, you know, we are thinking of him, and we're not gonna forget him. And it's, you know, at least on my mind, I want something that's going to be an ongoing thing. I think that way George will live forever in some way, shape, or form, not just a one-time thing. So yeah, it's tough. it's you know, like I said, just it really hit me how giving of a person he was, and how much I think we knew he was a great person, but as we learn more and more about him and all the things that he did, he was an angel walking on earth. So he was a good man. And
Lindsay got a copy of the book that he was helping edit today. So I'd like to see about getting a copy and actually sending that to his mom. I don't know. He was an editor, so he should get a copy, but I'm going to double check that a copy will be sent to her.
We can get one on Amazon. They're pre-ordered. We have the address.
And she also said once she starts cleaning out stuff that she would be in touch with us to make sure that ACS stuff came to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was also thinking, if we do win any chem luminary awards, don't know what our policy is for those, but it would be a chem luminary is his chair, that maybe we consider giving her one of those if we win it. But
when we win.
Well, from my understanding, very few sections have completed their reports, so.
I don't believe we ever gave George his past chair pin yet. That's something we could give to his mother.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, I again, Kelly and I both thought it would be very nice to invite her down to something. And so maybe that would be a good time for that too.
Yeah.
I see this business meeting has turned into an executive committee meeting, because everyone that's still on the Zoom is an executive committee member.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny how that happens.
Okay, so
it's tough to spend all day in front of a computer. It's tough to spend your evening too.
Agreed.
Okay, so so comments now we can change to not, you know, we don't need to basically be talking in a way that informs the rest of our members. But if there are things on this list that are good updates for the executive committee, I think we should finish through. So Lorena or Nigel, and Greglin's not here, but either Lorena or Nigel, any updates on the WCC panel?
I'm happy to report now. Thank you. So the WCC once a year gets invited to present a webinar through the ACS's webinar program. It's a wonderful opportunity because somebody takes care of all the logistics, and the WCC just has to get people there to talk and organize the program. So this year, that's my responsibility. So we thought that resilience was probably what we wanted to focus on. And I have a team of 3 people. I hope you all have a chance to tune in and listen to them. Even though it's organized by the WCC, everybody is welcome. This is not just for women. And also, it's not just for ACS members. So if you think somebody else might find this valuable, when they sign up, they can just make a guest account and join us. So it's going to be on the 25th of March at 2 p.m. and it runs until 3:30. That is to give plenty of time for questions from the audience. So that's my part. Thank you.
Okay.
So what Greglen and I are doing is arranging a cast watch party. So while we can all attend this webinar on our own, you could also join this cast watch party that we're going to set up. You get the link out in the next couple of days. And so you can kind of watch together and do a little networking while we do that. So.
Yeah, I posted out across campus and on our, oops, sorry, Roger.
Oh, is that an in-person thing or?
No, not in this case. No,
Okay, well,
it'll be virtual.
I guess I'm confused. If if it's already online, what is a separate online thing?
Well, it would allow that group in the watch party to communicate back and forth a little more easily. I mean, because in a large group webinar setting, it's not that easy to.
Okay. I wasn't thinking
who are watching with you, right?
I wasn't thinking about that.
It's the way teenagers party nowadays.
Okay. I guess since I'm not a teenager, I don't know much about this. I'm hopelessly out of date. But Nigel seems to be right in there with the young ones.
Arthritis, that's what that.
Okay. Nigel, why don't you tell us about the career day also?
Yeah, well, this is something Greglen informed me of, and we'll be getting something out on this shortly as well. So this is ACS, of course, holds these career days fairly frequently. This one, though, is very much focused on the career development needs of undergraduates. So she was very much eager to get this out to our student members, make sure that they knew about this and were able to join. So this is a week from this coming Saturday. Goes from about, I guess, 11 to 1 or 10 to 1 or something like that.
Okay, and is this a national event?
A national event, yes. This is run by the ACS Career Office.
And it's targeted all across the country, or do they do like mini things for regions? Or I didn't know exactly how that works.
Well, they do a lot of things, but this one is I think nationally or even internationally targeted, but especially for undergraduates. And
Okay.
I have a comment from Mike that the Moravian students already know, and they are attending. Go Moravian, go Greyhounds.
Yay. And I'll turn on my video in a second. I'm finishing eating and it's quesadillas. It's a mess.
That's all right. That's all right.
Thank you.
Okay, and
talked with Lindsay today about the our next monthly meeting, which is going to be the poster session in April. So we're getting that pulled together. There'll be an announcement invitation for abstracts for this special type of flash poster presentation that we're going to be doing, and arranging people in breakout rooms. We played with that today a little bit on Zoom. And the deadline is going to be April 2nd, so 2 weeks from tomorrow. So we're going to get pronto. Tomorrow we're going to get an email blast out on that with all of the instructions for putting together abstracts and other information. So we're hoping to have a good group of students for that. And we will also, as we have traditionally, Pamela Kistler is working hard to get the list together, the senior awards.
Do we have any idea on approximately how big the poster session is going to be, or?
Not at all. I mean, we already know of a couple.
Okay, I was just wondering how many students really were able to, undergraduates are able to really do research this past year. So I'm just wondering how that'll go.
We'll find out soon.
Yeah.
And
And
also,
I guess you're on the next agenda item also.
Well, same call this afternoon. Lindsay and I talked about CCEW, and the plan right now is besides the usual things, the poetry contest and so forth, she's supporting. We're going to arrange a panel discussion, focused on the theme this year, which is, what can you and I do, what individual contributions we can make to reduce our footprint, quote unquote. And so she's going to be one of the panelists. Sherman Cox is going to be a panelist. I'm hoping to get somebody from Rodale, maybe 4, I don't know. So if you have any ideas, suggestions, please pass them along to me. There'll be a panel discussion sometime during Earth Week. Haven't got a date nailed down yet.
Okay. Jeanne, how about how's the planning going for the wine and cheese?
Now that this one's done, that one will start.
Okay, not a problem. I understand. Oh, I have to mention, I saw Jennifer H., who is the sign language, was actually a sign language person that did signing for a deaf student I had last academic year, was on the meeting. So I chatted with her a bit, and I was surprised to see her there. Is she involved over at Cedar Crest also, or?
I don't know.
Over there? Or?
I don't know. Like I said, the club's fairly new. I've been to a couple of their meetings. I'm not their advisor. So I don't know. Actually, I don't know who is their advisor. But they've got about like 9 students involved. And, I haven't asked why each one's involved, but it's actually a fair number of biology and chemistry and forensic science majors. So I just, seemed to hit a real nice note when we started talking about it.
It was interesting seeing her because I had never guessed I would see her. She does a lot of signing for the Penn State Lehigh Valley campus when we need that sort of thing. And
well, start talking to her about being a committee member. We can have a disabilities committee member. Maybe we can do more around this.
She's not a scientist. She's a sign language expert. But it was nice that she was attending. Okay, I see the next thing on the list is Iron Pigs. Does this make much sense for us to plan on?
I don't know. I didn't have it on my original list, but then I noticed that they are planning to start. They're a month behind their normal schedule, but they're planning. So
I wonder how that works with the food things and all of that kind of stuff, that we generally do. If that stuff's all closed, or I don't know. It's worth thinking about. I went to the Iron Pigs every year for years, but just not so sure I'm quite ready for that yet.
maybe not. We'll have to see what happens, and with the vaccinations in the next month.
Have you gotten vaccinated yet? I'm still waiting. Okay, next
I
award.
got my second shot yesterday.
Excellent.
So had a little bit of tiredness and fatigue and what is it? A little bit of chills last night for my second shot. Didn't have anything for my first, but
Which
yeah,
which shots did you get?
I got Pfizer.
Pfizer. Okay.
So
I
yeah,
believe
so
Pfizer has somewhat less side effects than Moderna does. From what
I've heard different things. So I think I don't know. It seems to be up to individual people
Yeah.
what they get. I had a coworker get his the day before me, and he showed up to work yesterday and he was feeling pretty rough.
Uh-huh.
And so a bunch of us got it either yesterday or today. And so far all of us are doing okay. So now I can go on vacation without my husband because he hasn't gotten his yet.
Okay, so award committee updates. Lorraine or Nigel, whoever wants to speak to this.
Well, we just have, congratulating again Greglin on being our Volunteer of the Year for outreach. It's one of the things George managed to get in late last year, that nomination. So that's been up for a while on our social media. MARM Awards closed at the beginning of March, and we did get both a high school teacher and a small college teacher nomination in. Thanks, Marina, for the small college. John and
I can actually share who that is if the committee would like to know.
Sure.
Can I share my screen for just a moment?
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Oops. Maybe I can share my screen. So anyway, the nomination came from Sherry. It is for Marsha Barr at Muhlenberg College. And she came with really, really amazing recommendations, lots of letters of support from colleagues and from her administration. And it seems that this is a kind of retirement nomination, a person that has had a wonderful career and is starting to move out. So I thought that would be nice to share so that everybody else that's in touch with college life might think about that, because we found it rather hard to find candidates for the small college teacher. And maybe that's one thing we could help people focus on, look at who has done a good job and is stepping away for whatever reason and get them while they're still around. So this year, Marsha is therefore our small teacher of the Lehigh Valley section, and she is also our candidate for MARM.
Yes. Okay, very good. And I don't know about the diversity and volunteer awards at the MARM level. I haven't heard anything about them. I don't know if anyone from our section was nominated for those.
Yeah, I was under the impression that John was coordinating awards this year. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, and that I was just helping out with the small college teacher.
Right. No, that's correct. As we mentioned, Pamela's getting the senior awards winners together. I haven't had a chance to talk with John about the other awards that he's working on, Foundation in Chemistry, and our section high school teacher of the year. So those nominations are still being accepted for a little while yet, as you can see there. Mike, did you want to say anything about the Organic Chemistry Award?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. I admit I'm a little bit late with it this year. I would have sent stuff out probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I do plan to send stuff out next week. And then I will put it in a standard format as usual so that, Nigel, you can advertise accordingly. We even had this happen. Admittedly, attendance for good reason, was pretty low last year. It was during COVID and we still ended up doing it on campus. But I'm very hopeful this year, especially because Moravian was willing to allow us to come in back then. And we accommodated it in, I thought, a pretty safe way. I mean, we're in a huge classroom and everyone was masked. And we also did sort of a self-response check-in in terms of symptoms before the students came. So I could not believe that they wouldn't be willing to allow us to do it again. And so I think the only thing I need a little help with is the date that would be preferable. And I mean, Jeanne, I'm thinking specifically you, or maybe Lorena, if you can talk about when your semester is ending, because typically we do it I believe the weekend before the last week of class, because we don't want to do it the weekend right before finals, because clearly nobody's going to be focused on that then. So I think that's probably April 26th for us. I don't know what it is for y'all. So does that sound reasonable, that date? That's a Saturday?
Yeah, I think that's our last week of class. That's the beginning of our last week of class.
Okay, that's I think
Yeah,
we'll,
April 6th, our last week. We go to the 30th.
Right,
Yep.
us too.
So if you planned on the 24th of April, is that what you're thinking then?
oh yeah, whatever that Saturday is. If I said 26, I'm sorry. Yeah, 24th.
Yeah, 26th is a Monday, so 24th would be that
Yeah, Saturday. Okay, 24. Wow, I got to get this out right away. Okay, I'll make sure that I have it all put together by Monday, and that way we can send it out right away.
Yeah.
So it is going to be an in-person.
Yes, yeah. If
Okay.
you think that's a bad idea, please, I would love to hear that from the group. But I was anticipating that we would still do it on person, because for an academic purpose such as that, our administration has allowed visitors.
Yeah, I mean, we're meeting socially distanced face to face, but I get 3 out of 27 that come to class. It's horrible. So I don't know. I don't know how the students are going to feel about it. That's going to be the tough part. Because the problem's going to be, like, if they don't have a car to get there, carpooling is going to be a problem.
Well, we could explore. I don't know if it's reasonable to think about doing something as sophisticated as like Respondus lockdown browser, but I think we could do something like Zoom monitoring of students taking the exams. The only problem is we're not allowed to distribute.
Yeah, I don't think if you're using the ACS standardized final, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, we go with it, but I'm worried that I'll have some students that maybe don't have a way to get there, and it's not like I can put them in my car and drive them there like I've done in the past.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll hope for the best then, and hopefully some of them can attend. Thanks for that feedback.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
And I also just wanted to hit back to, since you were talking about senior awards and mentioned Pam. I don't know if you guys know, but Pam has announced her retirement. And so she has been approved by our Board of Trustees for emeritus status. So I don't know if we as a section want to do any kind of a congratulations for her. I mean, she's not on campus at all. She's teaching fully online because of health. But, she was a longtime counselor for the section.
Yeah.
I definitely think we should do something.
Although we really don't have any history of doing that, and other very active people have retired without any special. And nothing against Pam. I applaud everything Pam's done. I just don't know if we do this and then upset other people who we didn't do it for.
I'm putting it out there. You could do it personally if
I'm very comfortable with that. I just don't know about a precedent.
I think it could be announced. I'm not saying, make a cake or anything for her, because she won't come out for it, but but just as an announcement, or maybe, it could go in the newsletter kind of a thing. I'm not looking for a celebration or a gift or anything. I'm just saying as an announcement.
I don't have a problem with that. we just have to be careful about doing, things for one person and not another, and then,
I'll do it for anybody if I know about it. If we don't know about it.
Taking a riff off of Lorena's suggestion, maybe there's an award, or one of our regular awards we can award to her. I mean, has she ever gotten a small college teacher award?
well, we've already got a person for that though.
This year, but I'm just thinking
Next year.
might be better for her next year.
Uh-huh.
Just a thought.
Maybe one of her colleagues should nominate her.
I don't know if you can do it when they're emeritus.
Assuming the rules allow it after you're retired.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not for MARM, I don't think, but for our
But for our section, it's somewhat looser, yeah. Okay, I'm guessing you don't have any imagination.
nothing from John on that. Again, it's April 16th, so there's time yet. Just put the ACS fellow nominations just to put it down here.
Yeah, I don't see how we'd get something together by April 1st.
I haven't heard any suggestions myself, but
How about the after school?
yeah, just briefly on behalf of Greglen and Jeremy, things have been going very well. We've had 50 to 60 students each week, so quite a good number. Very interested group. I think they're really sticking with it. We're giving them information about not only career possibilities in chemistry and science, but also giving them some excellent demonstrations in science that they're inspired by. So we'll go forward. We have more programs till the end of April. So every week, Wednesday, 4 to 5. So we're very happy with how that program has rolled out. Project Seed, Jeremy did just finally put in the request to ACS, and I think we're just going to have the students that are working for you, Lorena.
Yes, Jeremy let me know that ACS is only sponsoring distance programs, so computational or something similar for this summer. So therefore, of all his plans for our local section, the only one he was able to move forward was mine, because it was just, off-site computational virtual learning. So yes, he turned it in, and he said he'd let us know when he hears something.
Right. Did hear from Gail Marcella relative to the Olympiad. She has 19 students that will be online, of course, this year again. So that's March 27th is our local test. So we'll see how they do. I have the Met grant here. Roger, I put your name on there. I guess you boiled it down to a couple of possibilities. The swivel and the owl.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the owl, although I know that's what Lehigh uses. At Penn State, we use a swivel, and the people who use it, I was recorded once with it as a test. I haven't actually used it otherwise, though, but I have a few friends that use it regularly for recording their classes and love it.
Yeah. So I don't know, do you want to get together with Greglen and Caroline now and
yeah, we can do that. We can set up something outside, outside the meeting to do that.
you guys talk about the possibilities and see if we can spend some of that money.
That's fine.
Speaking of which, Lorena.
I'm elated to give a treasurer's report, finally. So since last meeting, Nigel was kind enough to meet with Tesha and me at the bank of Tesha's choosing, which is in Hellerton. I've discovered they have caves. I didn't know that. It was a nice excursion. So Nigel is going to be on the account along with me. Just because of, these are uncertain times and it's better to have two names rather than one. And also it is somewhat closer for him for if any face-to-face business needs to be carried out. We transferred the names then. Tasha gave me 4 boxes of materials, which I will go through at some point.
Heavy boxes.
What bank was it?
I know the answer to this. Wells Fargo.
Well, couldn't you go to any Wells Fargo?
Well, you know, when I checked, all the ones in Berks County were temporarily closed. The person that officiated was not able to explain why, but since then they've opened again. I think it was just because of the ice storm that weekend.
Oh, okay.
So, but also Tasha was very pressed for time, so the actual transaction, you know, we did it there to honor the fact that she's traveling like 3 hours every day to work and didn't have that much time. But anyway, I was able to access the account. We have 45,701.49 in the checking account and 28,407.61 in the savings account. And their online app works perfectly well. I was able to deposit the 6 checks earlier today without any trouble at all. So I think we have access to our money again. The only matter pending is that I need to get in touch with John and ask him about the famous MARM money account and see if we can get that moved over also, or what the plan is.
That would,
and
yeah, that would,
I'm sorry?
it makes sense to have them at the same place. Not have
Yeah. And with more than one name on it too. The other thing, I was going to bring you a draft schedule for today, and I hoped that on the stick that was in the 4 boxes, one of the 4 boxes, I was going to have last year's report so that I could just update it, but the stick is corrupt. So it's going to take me a little longer to type out a complete blanking. Anyway, report for you.
Okay.
If anybody is aware of expenses or income that's going to be significantly different from other years, and you want to shoot me an email so that I can go incorporating that, I'd be happy to do it.
1 second, I'm gonna have to mute for a second.
Sure.
Lorena, I have, I'll send you the receipt I got for the flowers that we sent George.
Certainly do that, yes.
So I'll send you that. I think it ended up coming to $162. So we agreed on 150. I went.
That sounds perfectly fine. I'll be happy to send you a check.
Yeah, that's fine. I was gonna say, I have Wells Fargo. Maybe we can sell it over the.
Wow.
You know,
I've just figured out online banking.
I haven't done that, so maybe we can learn together. I don't know, but I'm okay with the check too. Either way works.
All right, sounds good. And that's my report.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You know, we probably ought to have an executive committee sometime to talk about what we're going to do with all this extra money we're getting from the extra allotment this year.
Does that lead us into the counselors' reports?
Yeah, we could go to counselors' reports, but I figured that made sense to talk about with the treasurer report yet.
Yeah.
Did we get that allotment? Has it arrived? Or is that?
I didn't see any evidence of it, but I'm not entirely familiar with the cash flow yet. So, but perhaps I need to burrow a little bit further into the checking and see what was going on there. It didn't seem that anything big had come in since the beginning of the year.
Okay. I really didn't know what the timing of it was, but that is
I would say they probably haven't sent it yet because annual reports were due the 15th. And remember, you have to submit your annual report to get that money.
That's true, yeah.
So, and let me just tell you, there's a lot of sections that haven't submitted their reports yet. I think they said 63 still had not submitted their reports.
Out of how many? How many are there?
Local section is like 140, 150.
Okay.
So higher than usual, but they said that that's typical and some of them are just always late.
That's
But-
true. There was a time when we used to be one of those.
Well, I have to sit here and say I feel absolutely horrible because, I know Kelly and I were both emailing and messaging the day it was due and asked Nigel to fill in the chairs section, but I'm glad we did do that considering what we found out a couple of days later.
Not next day. Yeah, a couple days later. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was Wednesday morning.
Yes.
Because I was literally about to walk out the door and then just had to sit down for a few minutes.
I was standing in front of the DSC with a colleague and I looked at my Apple Watch and gasped.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then called Jeanne because I knew she was going to get the same thing.
I had already texted you. Counselors, this Sunday we have caucus meeting. And next Wednesday is our virtual counselors meeting. Kelly and I both attended the mock practices. The new system looks like it's going to run really smoothly because they're using like two programs. You get the Zoom meeting and then there's like a voting component. It worked much smoother than the last meeting. So
Yeah, I did the mock meeting also. And I will also be attending that, the District 3 caucus.
Okay.
Actually, I had a caucus today also. I had the Divisional Counselors Caucus today.
no, I'm going to tell Kelly to text me to remind me because Sunday, 7 p.m., I'm usually just done because I've recorded 6 hours of lectures and I'm usually wanting to walk away from my computer. So remind me.
I will do my best. I was going to say, I have it pretty busy myself.
Yeah.
Lorena and I have a meeting on Saturday for other ACS business. And I don't know, Jeanne, are you planning on going to the town hall to listen to the 4 presidential candidates? It's on the 23rd, which is the Tuesday from 1 to 2.
I can do
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, you have to go onto the counselors page and there's a thing for you to register. You have to actually register for it.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that one.
They actually talked about that today at the Divisional Caucus and stressed about registering. I haven't decided whether I'm doing it or not. I'm considering it yet. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this. I did get a email yesterday, a doodle poll. The Philadelphia section person who's putting together this mini leadership institute is having another Zoom for the chairs of the sections that are participating. So I'll update you all after I hear how the progress is coming along. It's going to be sometime next week, although I don't know which day. I filled out a bunch of doodle poll and they're all evening meetings. So after we have it, I'll let you know.
It's going to be different than the one
I can see strategic planning retreat is next on the agenda. I do want to let you know that I heard disconcerting news on how these virtual strategic planning sessions work. At the meeting last week, we had a meeting of the M&E, a Meetings and Expositions Committee, and we were talking about doing a strategic planning meeting. And there were a couple of people on the meeting that have already participated in the online versions, and they said that they were excruciating and they didn't think they really accomplished what the in-person ones do. And therefore they were suggesting that M&E hold off until we can meet in person to do a strategic planning meeting. Although the difference here is that M&E has a much nicer budget to do these kind of things than a section does, because the ACS basically pays for committees of council to have strategic planning meetings, and we can do it, and they'll take care of our airfare and everything to fly people to meetings or drive to DC or whatever. And we don't have that same endless bucket of money. So I'm thinking the online way is still the best way for us to go, but
No,
they
my
didn't.
assumption here, Roger, is this is going to be face to face whenever we can do that. And ACS is.
Oh, okay. So I thought we were doing oh, it's not virtual.
No.
Okay.
That's not my assumption.
That's better. Okay. Okay, that's better.
So I was getting, my comment here really was just going to be, they haven't gotten back to us yet. I mean, if you remember, they have accepted us.
Yeah.
Program, so they are supporting this, are paying for us to get their people, their facilitators, and but we're not going to do it until we can do it face to face.
Okay, I think that's a good.
Colleagues, it would be pointless to try to do this online.
Yeah, the virtual things that they're doing in 4 2.5-hour sessions, yeah. Zoom sessions, and
tiring enough in person. I was a facilitator for many years. We don't want to do that online. So just to keep people.
Yeah, well, from what I heard, the people who did it wish they hadn't.
Yeah.
Okay, and I see the April Octagon will go to press April 1st. So is that the one that I've already sent you an article for, or do you need another?
That was March.
That was March. So you need another one.
Very nice article. You should read it.
I'll get you another one. I'll get you another one.
You're an endless font of these things, Roger. I mean,
I have all these papers I've given over the years, and most of them work to, so the question is, I'm getting less and less that have direct applicability to the section itself, but
that's okay.
Okay, anything else for the good of the group?
I have one announcement. What Kelly was mentioning a few minutes ago, we had the WCC meeting last weekend, and one of the things that came out of it is that we're organizing a symposium for the fall meeting, hopefully face-to-face, maybe hybrid, and it's going to be a follow-up on the webinar. So we're targeting chemistry practitioners who are women who would like to give a short talk on what was particularly challenging during the pandemic, how they got through it, and where they feel the resilience comes from. We thought we're living at a historic moment, that it might be nice to capture these stories. Maybe in one of the ACS books, we need to figure out if we can make that happen. And because of, the women in chemistry and the historic angle, we got Mary Virginia Orner to agree to be one of our co-organizers. And I just noticed today that she got some huge prize, and, I'm humbled that she agreed to work with us. But anyway, we think it's going to be a very exciting event where maybe we can document some of the different issues and hopefully observe all that material and see in what ways this might be inspiring changes in the way we go about our business. And by we, I don't just mean chemists or women in chemistry, I mean society in general. I sometimes think that for those of us that have more gray hairs, however well we hide them, this has been a short period of our lives when we've already formed our opinions about what life is all about. But I was speaking to my daughter who's in her 20s and reflecting on my other daughter who's a teenager, and they were saying life for them is never going to be the same, because they have gone through this huge event in years that are still formative. And I'm hearing, chatter conversation about more intersectionality, more cooperation, more focus on, being prepared for things. And I just think it would be very interesting to kind of capture some of this energy and, document it as it's happening. So a little bit ambitious, it may be 3 people speaking, and we might not be capturing quite so much, but I think Kelly and I are very excited about this.
We've had a good amount of email traffic, people that are interested. I think Mary Virginia said that she's planning on putting an abstract. I'm, very interested in seeing what, she has to say. So I think it's going to be well received from what we've seen so far. So I'm hoping.
Oh, if my phone rings again, I'm going to have to take it the next time. A student has called me twice with a question. And the first time I told him to call me back 15 minutes later and we were still going. And then I said 10 minutes later. And I'm looking at my phone and expecting it to ring any second.
Lorena, I don't know if it would fit, but we've got that teaching online Facebook group. I mean, that's been a really wonderful spot for support and that.
To get somebody to talk about it or to publicize it there?
Both,
or both.
probably.
Or both. Thank you. That's a wonderful idea.
Michael, do you know about that? Are you on Facebook? Muted.
I gotta unmute myself. Yeah. So I am on Facebook personally, not as much professionally, and I don't know too much about this group. I'd love to know more.
There's and this can go, we can completely do this via email.
Okay.
But there's a group it started off organic chemists teaching online, but it's really morphed into a bigger science, mostly chemistry, high school teachers and that. But it's been a wonderful spot for sharing online labs or help. I'm desperate and talking about the fact that students are cheating so bad right now, and all that fun stuff. Is
it called Strategies for Teaching Chemistry Online? Yeah.
Okay.
And anybody can sign up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Okay, I will be sending out an email soon to the executive committee to see if we can put together a date for the executive committee meeting, mostly to talk about budget with the extra allotment, but we'll certainly talk about other topics also. But I'm not quite sure when we'll do it. I've been swamped with so many things, like I guess everybody has. So I'm not. I shouldn't be complaining. It's true with all of us, but we'll get together. Okay. Anything else for the good of the group before we sign off?
Nope.
Okay. Well, thank you. You guys have a great evening, and you'll hear from me soon.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Great seeing you all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good program, Jeanne.
Yeah, very, very good.
Okay.